So, the NHS is in more crisis. We're going to sack 80,000 staff in April if they haven't been vaccinated. If you're a member of the Conservative Party, you can quite literally have a party. If you're a member of the Labour Party, you can quite literally have a party. As long as it's a works party after a very long day and you've ordered a takeaway and a few beers. The Conservatives just seem to be able to have a party anyway, regardless. So, but if you're working for the NHS, currently, as it stands, you're going to be fired if you haven't had a vaccination. And they're estimating that that's 80,000 people at the moment. So the people that you asked us to applaud, clap every Thursday because they were heroes, we're now going to ostracize and make them unemployed. Now, there are genuinely, well, I actually don't think there are, but there are many arguments from the vaccinated people, from the vaccinated side, as to why they must be vaccinated. How many of them stand up in terms of actual genuine medical reasons? Who knows? And for the record, I work in healthcare. I've had my vaccines. I've had my boosters. It hasn't stopped any of us getting COVID. So pretty pointless. But we followed the protocols and procedures. I work with vulnerable people, so I kind of wasn't that opposed to the idea of having to have vaccinations. But I actually support everybody that doesn't want to have a vaccination. But here's the thing. Now, they're saying an estimated 80,000 NHS workers, and that's everybody from cleaners, porters, nurses, doctors, surgeons, etc., whatever, who are currently unvaccinated, will be sacked if they don't get the vaccination. Now, if only half of them go through with it and you lose 40,000 staff, we're in a lot of trouble. And the reason being is the care industry, healthcare, is already one of the least desirable jobs. In all aspects of healthcare, from care homes to hospitals, people are struggling to recruit. And you're about to sack a huge group of people who are trained, experienced, and you're going to sack them. And you somehow think that's going to improve the service. Trust me when I tell you, regardless of your feelings about whether people should be vaccinated or not vaccinated, if as the governments and the political parties tell us, the NHS is already at straining point, it's breaking down, it's on its knees, it's going to be proper fucked if you sack 80,000 people. And if you can't get people to go into that industry, you certainly can't afford to lose them. And this is the problem where we get so emotional about people's vaccination status. What are you going to do when we already can't have operations? There is a backlog of operations. There is a huge amount of departments shut down. I work in healthcare. Trying to get an appointment for anything for any of my clients is a nightmare at the moment, because they're all either off isolating, being shut down to support other departments, or they're focused on the COVID fight, whatever it is, okay? But there are real problems with the NHS. There are real problems in care homes. And this is the thing, if you're going to sack 80,000 NHS staff, how many are you going to force companies to sack in care homes? Because bearing in mind, what people don't talk to you about with care homes and supported living environments is these people have needs, either physical or emotional or mental needs. And sometimes these people are 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, whatever. Okay, so they're given kind of like a weird, it's a strange number system, but effectively one to one is it takes one person to look after that 24/7. So if you're one to one and your client is a one to one client, that client has care on a one to one basis. If there is severe needs or high needs, that client is 2 to 1. Okay, so does that make sense? So on a 24-hour shift, you would typically have 4 people in 24 hours. It could be 2 people on a 24-hour shift, but you get the point. Is that, well, if you're going to lose a quarter or a third of those people, who's going to take care of these vulnerable adults and vulnerable children? Who's going to take care of the patients in the beds? Who's going to clean the halls? Who's going to clean the wards? Who's going to stock the medical cabinet? Who's going to stock the food, cook the food, and deliver the food? No one, because you've sacked everybody. This is so ill thought out, it's unbelievable. Unless they're just trying to privatise the NHS. Is this just privatisation through the back door? We have to get in private contractors, private tenders, because the NHS is on its knees. But here's the thing that's really going to be a problem. Once these people leave, you'll never get them back. Very few, and this is what I'm saying, if it's 80,000 people and only 40,000 go through with it and actually say, sod it, I'll go and work somewhere else, they are most likely going to be the people on the lower wages that can get jobs in coffee shops, supermarkets, and anywhere else, delivery drivers. There's so many industries that are minimum wage or close to it. Well, you can just go cleaning somewhere else. Because if you're not in a hospital or a care home, you can go and clean anywhere. You don't have to be vaccinated. What are you going to do when no one is cleaning the hospitals? What are you going to do? They're not cleaning. There is no one to clean. No one to take the bins out. Where are you going to get the staff from? And this is why it's ill thought out. And I don't even think it's well intentioned. I don't think they thought about it. They haven't thought about the consequences. You can't go sacking people when I'm allowed to refuse treatment for anything else. Ironically, if you caught coronavirus, you can legally refuse to go to hospital and say, I want to die in my bed. They are not allowed to intervene. But they're going to go and sack somebody for not having a vaccination. I'm telling you, it's crazy. And for all those people that think that they should be fired, that's great. I really hope you are going to roll up your sleeves and apply for the jobs of those people that leave. Because if you want your hospitals and care homes to stay open, somebody's going to have to do the work. And if we're going to prejudice people about their vaccination status, the rest of you have to step in. I'm sick and tired as somebody who has had all his injections and lives in healthcare with the way that we've been politicised, with the way that we're supposed to be the ones that prop up the country. No other industry has to be vaccinated. Your delivery drivers, your lorry drivers, your supermarkets, your retail shops. This is getting out of hand. And we're all sick and tired of being everybody's political puppet. You want to applaud us 1 minute and then spit on us the next minute. How about just letting us get on with the jobs that, in my case, I've been doing for 16 years now? Why don't you just let me get on with my job? Just leave me to it. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do my job. And you get on with your job and you get on with your life, whatever way that is. In fact, here's another way of looking at it. Why don't you start letting people decide whether they want us to take care of them? The people that need care, the people that need help. Why don't you let them decide whether they want the care. And those that won't let the unvaccinated go near them, fine. They don't have to. They don't have to. They can tick a box and they can wait for a vaccinated person to turn up. Because it's just getting stupid. And genuinely, if 80,000 people leave the NHS and it's enforced across the country in care homes, supported living environments, day centres, it's going to be a catastrophe. An absolute catastrophe. And the people shouting and screaming the most are the ones that don't need any of the fucking care. They're not the ones in hospital fighting for their lives. And that is probably the best place to leave it. But think on that. If you're dying, if you needed care, if you needed help, do you really need me to show you a passport or a certificate? Or do you just want me to be experienced, to know how to do my job and to care? And before all of those people get on there in the comments, remember what I said at the beginning, and I'll repeat it now. I've had both my vaccines and I've had my booster. And I do not think this is a good idea. I do not think it should be mandatory. And I am somebody that has so far complied with all the rules. But it's only the David Watson opinion. Tell me what you think. Leave your comments below. Take care.